You're watching CHCO-TV's gavel-to-gavel coverage of the October 2024 regular council meeting for the Municipal District of St. Stephen. I'm Florence Mitchell. In today's meeting, Council will give Bylaw 03-23-1, an amendment to Bylaw 03-23 respecting remuneration of council, its first reading. Under new business, Councillor Eastman will be recognized for receiving the King Charles III Coronation Medal. Finally, Council will move to approve Durrett Drive as the name for a new private drive in Barter Settlement. Now let's join Council in the Moosehead Room at the Garceland Civic Centre in St. Stephen.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Municipal District of St. Stephen Council meeting for Wednesday, October 30th, 2024. And I'd like to welcome everybody here and all the councillors and Mr. Mayor. Before we begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered today on ancestral, unceded territory of the Pascoe-Tomacadi people. Now I need, there's a resolution to approve the agenda. I need a mover and seconder.
I'll second.
Okay, Councillor Heislip and Councillor Eastman. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Agenda approved. Are there any disclosure of conflict of interest tonight? Don't hear anything. I'd like to propose a resolution to adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting held on October 2nd. So I'd like a mover and a seconder.
So moved. Second.
Councillor Wright, Councillor Harding. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay?
Aye.
Minutes approved as read. Also, I'd like to propose a resolution that the agenda of the regular meeting of October 30th, I'm sorry, that's the agenda. Did we not have two sets of minutes before? No? Okay. Next, I'd like to have a mover and seconder for the report of the Chief Administrator Officer. Mover and seconder.
So moved.
Second.
Councillor Harding and Councillor Eastman. All those, I think you go through your report, right, before we?
Yep.
Okay. Jeff, you're on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the report was in your package, so I'm not going to go through it all. Well, I do want to highlight the one important change to the report, and that relates to the 2025 municipal budget. Council's aware. The provincial government did see fit to finally send us our tax bases last night, or yesterday afternoon, and I shared that by email as data started rolling in from our friends in Fredericton. The couple of nice points for us. St. Stephen's assessment base did go up by roughly the provincial average, which was ours was 8.9%, provincial average was 8.8%, as far as the tax base. And the other thing I wanted to note as well is when we did the revenue review, I'd indicated to council that I knew I was being overly cautious with the comprehensive grant from our friends at GNB, and the number came in about $200,000 more than I was originally predicting. So they didn't cut us back quite as much. So that's adding a little bit of revenue onto the revenue side for budget purposes. Still working through all the implications of the tax rates. The other thing that is worth noting is that they did approve our request to unify the rural taxing subunit. So now we will have two tax rates in our municipal district, one for the urban core and one for anything outside the urban core. So that's going to correct some inequalities that were out there in the especially in the rural area, and we're looking at the implications of all that being suddenly dropped into our lap yesterday afternoon. But it does open up a lot of policy options for council that I'm sure we'll discuss in great length as we go through the budget process. But with that, I'll take any questions that may be on the report.
Any questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nay? Resolution pass. Next, I have a proposed resolution that the following information report be... Oh,
Public comment period.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to move back. Public comment period. Any comments?
Good evening. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay. My name is Mrs. Morgan, and I'm from Ward 2. I would like to start off with a reference about the harassment-free workplace, which is mentioned under the CEO report in page 11. I assume everybody's read it, so I'm not going to go through it. I just had a couple of comments and food for thought for the mayor and the council. Although no specific details appear to be available, and I don't expect they will, with the department heads and external staff not attending the meeting, it's not clear who they are sending a message to. Is it the citizens or council members or both? If it's citizens, then how will the mayor or council propose it get resolved so staff can return to attending council meetings? And how will that be communicated to the citizens attending these meetings? There should be a mechanism in place for an individual, excuse me, including a citizen of MDSS to report an issue without any repercussion. If there is such a thing, it should be on the website, easy to find. Maybe staff should be completing and signing a yearly code of conduct course so they can be held accountable if something should rise. I work for the bank. Every year I have to do one. Next one. In Councillor Hislop's report, he states that he attended the Charlotte County Museum AGM. I was wondering if the councillor could provide a brief summary of what was discussed at the AGM in relation to whether the museum has secured funding to keep the doors and lights on going forward. I believe it was back in March that you mentioned that the museum needed money. That's why I'm asking for this update. Lastly, during the late summer, early fall, a number of citizens completed a community safety survey, which we had hoped would be presented to the mayor and council. That request was not granted. Therefore, I want to go on record that the mayor and each councillor received a package which included a copy of the survey, a summary of all the questions, and all the comments that each person that completed the survey. Hopefully the mayor and council would take the opportunity to meet and discuss the survey results and come back to the citizens with their views or comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hi, Chandra Best from Ward 3. Sorry. Okay, so I guess I can just ask my questions even though we don't have any staff here, and I don't know what will happen to it, I guess, but I'll still ask them anyways. So first of all, I wanted to turn to the community survey for, that's under the planning update on page 47. So I'm not sure if council's aware, but there's been some information going around that the surveys were not the same. So it just so happens that I received one from up here today, and they're not the same. So I would encourage anyone who really cares about making the survey and identifying their priorities to do it online. So the paper survey only has 9 priorities identified. If you go online, there's 31. including these 9. So there's a lot more of an opportunity to provide input. Now that said, 31 priorities means that we have no priorities, depending on how you look at it, but that's the way that I look at it. That's far too many things for us to be trying to prioritize. But I definitely have some concerns with the fact that the surveys are different. And I also have some concerns with the fact that the wards are improperly identified. And I'm not sure if this one is what I saw online, but anyways, like Oak Bay, that's Ward 3. And St. David is Ward 3, and it says Ward 1. So my question then is, how on earth are you going to tabulate the results? I mean, I guess clearly you're going to have to combine the rural results because you can't separate them anymore because people won't be filling it in correctly. So there's some big problems with this survey. I would suggest that in future, any surveys, do some user testing first before they go out. I don't think that that was this council, but I feel like this council could have did the user testing for the RSC so that it could be correct. So again, everyone who wants to fill in that survey, I really recommend that you do it online. And that way you also don't have to go through the trouble of either mailing it, hand delivering it, or scanning it and emailing it, which is what the requirements are here if you do a paper version. So I think that we definitely could have done better there. Okay, and I did have a question about the report, but maybe, I don't know, I can email it to somebody over there. And also, I don't think there's been a Canada Post strike yet, but so far I haven't received a paper survey in Ward 3. So it says in the report that they're going to be mailed, but there's no date as to when it's going to be mailed. So I was going to ask that question as well, if we know when they're going out. Okay, so that's it on that particular one. I wanted to also mention about the King Street traffic study for Border Arena. I saw that Sean had reviewed it. I also saw that we paid them the $19,808 for that traffic study. So what I wanted to know is, will the study, or the results, I guess, be coming so that we can hear the results, the citizens can hear the results? And also, is there more money to pay, the $19,808? Is that the whole amount that we're paying, or is that half? Because I thought that maybe there was a developer who maybe was helping us to foot the bill, so I wanted to confirm that as well. And then I think the last thing I wanted to say is I want to thank the mayor for putting in a report into the package. That caught my interest because it was the first time, so thank you. And there was another thing. I just happened today to be listening to the RSC meeting, not the special meeting that was yesterday, but I think the one before. And Hollis was talking about how it was great to come and meet with everybody, all the different councils, which I thought was really good. I wasn't here in person, but I watched that video actually twice with Hollis here to listen to the budget and all the explanations about what the RSC does. And one of the things that caught my attention was his offer, and I think it was Charlene as well who works there, to help the councils with economic development. And so that really caught my attention because of sort of the discussion that was had here about Thrive a few weeks ago. And then also I saw in the reports that councillors were going to meet with I guess it's St. Andrews and Eastern Charlotte about this potential economic development thing that you guys are working on. So I thought that was interesting, and I would certainly like to see that actually more working together with the RSC. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, and we'll see about getting those answers for you.
Deputy Mayor, David Whittingham, Ward 2, which is town. Chandra beat me to the piece about thanking the mayor for having a mayor's report within the council reports this month. It was very helpful, and I hope he continues doing that. And maybe he will consider in the future maybe joining Vicky Hogarth and CHCO-TV in one of their monthly broadcasts, either on Southwest Magazine or Your Town Matters, which other mayors do in our region talking about what's been going on in our municipality and what's coming up in the future. That'll be very helpful for residents and would get a wider audience than those few of us that read the reports in the back of the council agendas each month. But thank you for doing that. Really appreciate that. At the previous council meetings, Hollis Bartlett from the Regional Service Commission was presenting the regional service budget as it related to our municipality. And one of the things he brought up, and there's an expense line to do with regional tourism, and that's a cost to our municipality that goes to the Regional Service Commission. And I had brought it up a year or more ago about the municipality looking at a tourism levy or tourism fee to accommodations to pay for that, which they do have in St. Andrews. St. Andrews, through their accommodations, a 3% levy on rooms, generates well over $200,000. That was last year's numbers. I don't know what they are for this. And that's where that money would go to pay their tourism bill to the Regional Service Commission. And right now, if we don't have that in our municipality, then all the residents of our municipality are going to be paying that tourism-related fee. So it's something for council to consider for the future. And one last thing, at the last council meeting, I did ask about, and I was just wondering if there's an update on the warming shelter, whether the mayor or the CAO have heard where the warming centre is going to be and a possible opening date. Thank you.
Yes.
Just on that one, best of the newest information is as I have a call with the Deputy Minister of Social Development at 9:30 tomorrow morning. I suspect that call is to educate me on what their final decisions have been and whatnot, but I don't have the full content of the agenda for that call. I just had a request for a quick chat, so that's the best development I have on that front.
Thank you, David, for your report.
Good evening. Bob Brown, Ward 2. Last month you adopted the Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership Program. I believe it's a 5-year program, 2027 to 2031. And I'm assuming that it applies to the designated streets, which I'm not sure, but I think perhaps it's King, Milltown Boulevard, and Pleasant. I'm not sure if that's all of them or and I'm not sure that's what it applies to, but I assume that. My question, considering the state of our other streets, is does the council have a 5-year plan for repair and maintenance of all the other streets? Is there a 5-year plan or a 3-year plan? Is that a...
Sure. So as council's aware, Dillon Engineering did do a full roadways analysis for us, and they created a 10-year implementation plan that is being brought forward as the part of the 2025 municipal budgeting process to do year one, proposing year one of that plan being implemented.
Is the plan available to the public or just to the council?
I believe a couple months ago.
Yes, I haven't been too involved, so I may have missed that. Yeah, okay, thank you. Now, I did have another comment. You have an amendment to bylaw 0323 to make it similar to bylaw A17, and that has to do with council remuneration, which is the council, councilor and mayors. The remuneration or stipend or salary, I understand, was set by the province in 2022, and it more than doubled what was there before. The amendment would add a consumer price index yearly. Now, that suggests to me that you consider yourself underpaid. But as an elector, if you're making $37,000, $22,000, and $17,000, I'm not sure I would consider that myself. So I believe that is not really a fiscally responsible action. You should lead by example and manage the small things as well as the big financial matters. It sets a tone of entitlement, not for you people, but for all other employees. If it's good for the council, then it's good for everyone, and that's not a good tone to have. So I just want to say, as an elector, that I believe it's a very, very bad fiscal policy, considering that the remuneration that you are getting, or that was set by the province. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Any more comments or questions? So we go on.
Go ahead, Madam Chair.
Yeah. To propose a resolution that the following information report be acknowledged and received. That's from Future St. Stephen. So I need a mover and the seconder.
I'll second.
Councillor Eastman and Councillor Harding. Are there any comments on your report?
Yeah, just a couple updates that just happened actually yesterday. So first, I just want to acknowledge my note about Jeremy Barham, who is a member and on the board for many years. He stepped in this year for a term as the president and pushed along some really great files. So I just really want to publicly acknowledge his commitment to the organization and the work that he's done. Of course, in the president's role, right, that is our paid position, but as the board chair and a board member for many years, that's all volunteer. So the time that he committed towards economic development in the community should really be acknowledged. That's one thing that I wanted to make sure to do tonight, is to just publicly say thank you to Jeremy. He's not here, but hopefully he'll see this. And I'm sure I'll get a message with that. Hopefully it will make him smile a little bit. I also wanted to give an update that we are really happy to share. We've had some new board members join us, voted in just yesterday. So joining our board, we'll have David Moffat, Troy Weeks, Nick Ganong, Stacey Arsenault, and those are joining to our existing board of Heather Cunningham, Sarah Redmond, Randy Hogue, and myself, as well as with representatives from the Chamber and downtown St. Stephen. We were all together yesterday morning, along with Jeff and Mayor McCachran joined us as well for that vote. So that does represent that we are back to a full and complete board. It's a very diverse group. It's also full of business leaders from some of the major businesses within the community. We had a great initial discussion about what our new board members are seeing related to economic development. We have plans to continue those discussions, and we're really looking forward to having those strategy discussions to look forward about what we need to do for economic development in our community. We'll be doing those right away. I know there are many other projects ongoing right now, from the municipal plan to surveys and everything to kind of figure out the future. I think COVID definitely kind of threw everybody's 5-10-year plans out the window, and now we're at a point where we're getting back into that, to realizing, okay, we can plan for the future. there's definitely some bigger plans coming in economic development when we look at things like the basketball court, like potentially other businesses coming in, and we need to be prepared for those, and that's what we'd like to do as a group of volunteers. One key part to that is obviously we want to look at filling our president's role, to have someone on the ground who is doing that work, and that's in working partnership obviously with the town. So we'd love to have the town's continued commitment to the organization. We loved having Jeff and Alan there yesterday with us. We'd love to have them again, but I'd also like to extend the invite to any counselors if you'd like to join us for discussions. We'll be having some over the next while. I can keep you informed as when they're going to be happening. So you can bring to the table whatever feedback you're hearing around economic development projects that need to be on the table that maybe are getting overlooked, or that we just need to take a look at to see if they're valuable. We're always open to discussions. I'd also encourage anyone in the community that knows any of the board members I just mentioned, have a chat with them. All of our board members love bringing the feedback back into the room so we can have those discussions. The chamber and downtown are obviously really valuable members as well, because they bring into our discussions what their members are telling them of what they need for support also. So that's where we're going to be focusing and continuing to work. And we just hope for a continued commitment. I know there's ongoing discussions about different regional approaches, about RSC involvement, everything like that. We feel our organization has, over the last 50, 60 years, brought a good and valuable resource to the community, and has accomplished and helped to accomplish some bigger projects. And we're just looking forward to continuing that on. It's a dedicated group of volunteers and really just focused on doing good for the community overall.
Do you meet regularly?
Yeah, we do. So usually at least once, if not twice a month, sometimes more when we're doing planning. We're also going to, obviously knowing everybody has busy schedules, we discussed in yesterday's meeting starting up some online sharing docs as well, so we could throw ideas in without having to be in the room, so that those meetings can be a little more pointed. I'd love to have, if anyone would like to be provide feedback in that way if you can't make meetings. But we do tend to meet every couple weeks just to get in a room and discuss where certain projects are at.
Are there, Councillor Harding?
Thank you. Two-part question. First of all, the hotel. Can you tell me anything about that?
So I can let you know that there is interested parties, and we have been working with Jeff and the mayor, have been meeting with interested parties. Obviously, right now, a big part of that is the financial piece to what the cost of the property is. So that's just ongoing discussions related to that to find the right fit.
While I was shopping on Saturday, I had somebody approach me and ask me if there was a new group in town of businessmen that is starting something up in your area. Do you know what? I had no idea what they were talking about, so I'm asking you.
So there was a group, and some of our new members were part of it. They were just an informal group. They were just meeting to have some discussions and discussing kind of what the options were for volunteering and how they could help out in the community. So that's probably what that was related to. And we had discussions with them and asked if any of them would like to join our board formally. And the four I mentioned were interested. So it was just a chance to bring them kind of formally into our board. And, you know, we can meet with others as we do on an informal basis to kind of get more feedback from them as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Councillor Rodas.
Hi. I just want to thank you big time for actually speaking with some members of the community who are passionate about economic development and bringing everyone together. I know it's a hard thing sometimes to brainstorm as a group and bring everyone together on the same page, but I think a lot of people don't recognize that Future St. Stephen is a new kind of catchphrase name, but it really represents the St. Stephen Development Board, which was founded back in the 1960s. So, you know, for us here, economic development in-house in this community, it's really astounding what we've been able to, you know, accomplish over the past 50 years. Even being in this building now, I can think of times when former Mayor Bob Brown back there was probably, you know, having some really pertinent economic development meetings about this building at one time. So I think it's really awesome to have community leadership and to have, you know, passionate business members come together and kind of revive this board. And regardless of what the future holds in terms of regional economic development, I mean, we still need transition plans as well. You know, if that were to be the way things pan out, we can't just leave you guys hanging. So it's just fantastic that you've gone out and you've kind of sought new board members, and I look forward to the strategic development, and I'd love a presentation too on the strategies that you'd like to envision for our community in the future, and definitely even a historical presentation about the St. Stephen Development Board and how you came to be Future St. Stephen, because I think a lot of people in community don't actually recognize the historical nature of that group. So, you know, there's always a place for passionate people in economic development here in our community. So thank you for your hard work.
Any further question? Okay, all those in favor that the report be acknowledged and received? Aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carry. Next, we're going to move to the bylaw. We have a bylaw to amend bylaw 03-23, first reading. And the proposed, okay, I'm not sure, I have this in two places. So, do I read further on the bylaw? Like,
No, you just have a motion to move or seconder for first reading.
okay. I need a mover and seconder. Councillor Wright?
Second.
Councillor Eastman? Are there any questions? Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay? Nay? No? Motion carry. I was following my computer, and this doesn't run the same. Okay. In the new business, there's a recognition for Councillor Earl Eastman on receiving the King Charles III Coronation Medal. So we'd like to extend our congratulations to you. There's probably not too many of those, right?
Anybody second?
Right.
Too late.
Too late.
No, congratulations.
Yes. And next, we have a request for decision on the Durant Drive. So we have a proposed resolution that council approves Durant Drive as the name of a new private drive located in Barter Settlement off Barter Settlement Road. So do I have a mover?
I move. Second.
Councillor Cornish and Councillor Heislip. Any questions, comments? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay? Motion carry. And next we have, of course, correspondence. I propose a resolution that council receive the within correspondence for information purposes. So again, we need a mover and seconder.
I'll second.
Councillor Harding, Councillor Eastman. And within that correspondence, we had a thank you card from Carol Baker, which she has done a lot for the Terry Fox. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay? Motion carry. Then we need a resolution that the council reports be acknowledged and received.
So moved.
Councillor Heislip, Councillor Harding. Any questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay.
I got a question on my own report. You brought that up, the AGM. Yeah, that was my last AGM. I put my resignation in about 2 weeks prior to that, but I showed up anyway, and I locked the place up. I do all my fall stuff up at the museum. lock the doors, and also we have a new chair too. Lorraine Matthews was our chair. She stepped down as well. She's been doing it for about 13 years. I've been doing it for 7 years since I got on council. The town really doesn't have any interest in the property. It's owned by the board. They want to go forward to try to go and keep the building up, which is a monumental task, and they'll be searching for money somewhere. I know some of them have some connections with some very affluent people, so maybe they'll get that going. They need more board members. I'll put that out publicly. We've advertised it every year since I've been on there, and we've gained about 2 board members, and most of them are board members at one time were all from Ontario. There's one, I think, that resides in Milltown area. She's from Ontario. And a couple from St. Andrews. So we don't have anybody locally that's on the board, really, that's from Milltown. So there is a couple from Milltown that are living elsewhere, but we need some more people on that board. There should be up to 10, and we have like 4 left or something. So if anybody wants to get on there, contact me for now, because I don't know the contact numbers for the new board. So, okay, that's it for me.
Any further questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay? Motion carried. And now I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting to the public. And, okay, I guess I need that pursuant to section 68(1) of the Local Governance Act, council moves to a closed session for the purpose of discussing 1, negotiation of an agreement, 2, financial matter, 3, potential land disposition, 4, personnel matter, and 5, negotiation of agreement. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Nay? Motion carried. So we'll have just a short break.